Hello students. So today we are going to cover the chapter number 1 of history, that is French Revolution, which is considered one of the most important event of the modern era, which not only changed the political structure of France and converted it from absolute monarchy to a democratic system, but at the same time it encouraged the people living in the neighboring countries of France to start a war, to start their struggle for the rights of the common people and convert their absolute monarchy into a democratic system. So, this French Revolution of 1789, which is a series of different revolts, took place in a span of the next 50 years, gave the world the idea of liberty, equality, and fraternity. And we know that we have also included these three important principles in the preamble of our constitution. So, now we will go through the various causes which led to the French Revolution of 1789. In fact, any revolution, whenever you go through and you find out whenever the people revolt and change the old order and bring a new order, there are some common factors which are responsible for any revolution. So these common factors have been included here also. The first one is the political cause, then the social cause, then the economic cause. The fourth one is the intellectual cause, and one more factor or cause is responsible for any revolution, that is the immediate cause. So these are the 5 common points. So we will start with the first political cause. Now we have to see when this revolution took place, what was the situation of France. And during the time of French Revolution of 1789, France was being ruled by Louis XVI, who belonged to the Bourbon dynasty. So Louis XVI became the monarch in 1774, and due to his incapability, he was not able to run the France in an efficient manner. Louis XVI got married with the Austrian princess Marie Antoinette, who, like her husband Louis XVI, was unpopular among the common people and masses of the France. So moreover, the weakness of these two fellows, particularly their extravagancy, their spendthrift nature, spending a lot of money on their luxurious life, was also responsible for making them unpopular. These Louis XVI and his wife, they were living in the palace of Versailles, which was a symbol of luxury, whereas the common people of France, they were leading a very poor and miserable life. Particularly the people of the third estate. So this was the first reason for the unpopularity of Louis XVI and his wife Marie Antoinette. Now we are moving to the second reason, that is the social cause. So in the social cause, we are going to understand the social structure of French society during the time of revolution. So during the revolution year, the French society was mainly divided into 3 states: the first estate, the second estate, and the third estate. The first estate comprised the clergy, that means the church officials, all the church authorities. The second estate comprised the nobility, that means the landlords, big noblemen. And the third estate comprised all the common people of France, that included the farmers, peasants, workers, and the other people working the different kinds of jobs. As far as the resources were concerned, they were clearly unequally divided among the first, second, and third estate. The first and second estate comprised the 2/3 of the resources of the country, whereas the 95% of the population which comprised the third estate were having a very little resource of the country. Second very interesting thing is that as far as the privileges, special rights, special kinds of discounts were concerned, they were given to the first and second estate people by the monarch, whereas the third estate people had to pay all kinds of taxes, all kinds of dues to the, not only to the monarch, but at the same time they had to pay these taxes, these services to the clergy and the nobility also. And after covering the social cause, we are moving to the economic cause, which led to the French Revolution of 1789. So, under Louis XVI, the economic situation of France was very critical because only the third state was there which was paying all taxes to the monarch. Not only to the monarch, but they had to pay the taxes to the church authority also, as well as feudal dues were also paid to the landlords, and they were already in a very poor situation. They were not in a situation to pay the tax, and those who were in a situation to pay the tax were exempted from all kinds of taxes. Then again the useless wars, and what the useless war France got involved in, that was the American War of independence from the Britain. America's 13 colonies were struggling to get the freedom from Britain, and France, because France was always the arch rival of Britain, that's why Louis XVI gave the financial support to this war of independence of these 13 colonies, and as a result the debt of France increased day by day due to the high war loans taken by Louis XVI, and this created a economic situation for France, because of which Louis XVI wanted to increase the tax on the poor people of France. And when they heard about it, and the third state people came on roads, and it finally led to the French Revolution of 1789. And now we will cover the next cause which led to the French Revolution of 1789, and that was the growing middle class. So the 18th and 19th century of Europe witnessed the emergence of a new social group in the society, that was the middle class. So this middle class emerged due to the arrival of industrialization in the different parts of Europe. Moreover, the education also spread in different parts, and the people became more logical and rational, and they started raising the question about the privileges of the first and second state, and they talked about the equal rights for the people. So, who guided these middle class people? They were the enlightened people, whom we term as philosophers. So here we have been given the three main philosophers, like Rousseau was there, then John Locke was there, and Montesquieu was there. And through their creations, through their speeches, they educated the people, and they broke all the myths which were prevailing in the society, that the king was the representative of God, and the people should accept each and every rule and laws made by the king. So in this way, now the people, they were ready because they were guided by these great philosophers. The last cause for the French Revolution of 1789 is obviously the immediate cause. And what was that immediate cause? Because the Louis XVI, the monarch of France, was facing the problem of economic crisis. So he called a meeting of State General on 5th of May 1789. What was the tradition? Whenever the king wanted to introduce any new tax, so he had to take the permission from the from the State General. The permission was required from the State General, and that was merely a formality. As in the State General, there were representatives of all the three states, the first, the second, and third state. 300 members from first state, 300 members from second, and 600 representatives from the third states. And rather than giving the individual voting rights, all the states had only one combined voting right. It simply means that the State General meeting would have total 3 votes, 1 vote from each state. And it was quite obvious that the king, the monarch, had the nexus with the first state and second state people. That's why whatever he wanted to do or introduce any new kind of tax, that would be easily accepted, because he would be always supported by the clergy and the nobility. So when this meeting was called in 1789 on 5th of May, now a new drama unfolded, because this time the people of third estate were not ready to accept this old tradition of voting, and now they demanded the universal adult franchise and individual voting right, where all the 1200 representatives will decide whether these new taxes should be introduced or not. When the third state representative demanded this new type of voting, that was obviously rejected by the monarch, and as a result all the representatives of the third state, they left the meeting of state general. They came out and gathered at the famous tennis court, indoor tennis court, and what they declared over there, they declared that they were the real representative of the France, because they were representing more than 95% of the population. And at the same time they declared that they are the real representatives, so they said that they are forming the National Assembly. So the National Assembly was formed, and these representatives, they took the oath that until they make the constitution for France and declare it as a democratic republic, they would not leave that place. And now one event led to the another. The situation became very explosive in France. In fact, out of control in the hands of Louis XVI. Now the outbreak took place in the various parts of France, and the first big outbreak or the first blast took place in the capital, that was Paris, on 14 July 1789. The people of Paris, they got this rumor that the king had called his army men to crush the people, to crush the revolt, and as a result all the citizens of Paris, particularly the 7,000 people, they came on the roads, and then they decided to give a tough lesson to Louis XVI, and for that purpose they attacked on Bastille Fort, the fort where the monarch kept all the political prisoners who were raising their voice against the monarchy. So they attacked on Bastille Fort and destroyed it completely. And then this news spread in the countryside areas of France also, and as a result in the countryside areas, the people now they also showed their resistance by revolting against all the representatives of monarchs who were symbolizing the power of monarch. So the tables have been turned for Louis XVI, as the National Assembly of France on 4th of August declared France as a constitutional monarchy, where the monarch Louis XVI had to work according to the constitution decided by the National Assembly. At the same time, the National Assembly also abolished the feudal system, various taxes, particularly the taxes charged by the church, and they took the property or confiscated the property of the church as well as the nobility. So in this way, they collected a huge amount of 2 billion livres, which would be used for the repaying of the tax. Finally, the National Assembly drafted the new constitution for France in 1791, under which France was declared a constitutional monarchy, and the powers were separately divided among the three organs that were legislature, executive and judiciary. As it was the beginning of the democracy, so the voting rights were not given to everyone. Only the men above 25 years who were paying a certain amount as a tax to the state were given the title of active citizen, and the women and the poor people in the society were considered as the passive citizen. So we can see that as democracy was in the beginning stage, so it was quite obvious that there would be certain flaws with this democracy, and it would take some time to get the perfection. So in spite of these weaknesses, the one credit goes to this National Assembly was
that it recognized that human beings require some basic rights for the overall development of their personality, and they underlined these rights under the Declaration of Rights of Men and Citizen, which is considered the preamble of the constitution drafted by this National Assembly in 1791. And in this declaration, this National Assembly accepted that there are certain rights which are very, very important for the human beings, and the state has no authority to violate all such rights. Some of these rights were right to life, right to freedom of expression, and political rights like forming the political parties. So, in this way, we can see how the things were completely changed in France.
Although Louis XVI had accepted this new constitution of France, but inwardly he was busy in a secret negotiation with the kings of Prussia and Austria, and he was seeking the help of these two kings to attack on this new revolutionary government and recapture the power of France one more time. But National Assembly came to know of all his planning, and then it declared a war against the monarchy system and called all the people of France to wage this war, and they named it as a war of people against the monarchy. Louis XVI and his family members, who in disguise wanted to cross the boundary of France, were arrested and sent back to the palace of Tuileries, where they were kept. So the sentiments of the people of France, they were raising against the monarch and his treachery. That's why they decided to take the final revenge against the Louis XVI and his family. Finally, on 10th of August 1792, the Tuileries Palace was attacked by the mob, and the monarch and his family, they were arrested by the National Guard of Paris Commune, and in this way a trial was started against the Louis XVI, and finally he and his family members, his wife and the other members, were finally executed. And the execution of Louis XVI also ended the constitutional monarchy in France, and now France became a republic. So this new revolutionary government gave many political powers and rights to the people of France. As a result, many political parties and clubs were set up in different parts of France, and out of these clubs, the Jacobin Club was the most famous one, and the members of Jacobin Club used to wear the striped linen pants and the red cap. They were known as the sans-culottes, which means the people without the knee breeches. Knee breeches means the long, stylish shoes which the bourgeois or the rich community and nobility people used to wear. So, due to the support of this Jacobin Club, the political power came in the hands of Maximilien Robespierre, who was the leader of this Jacobin Club. And his time period between 1793 to 94 is also known as Reign of Terror in France. The terror he created because of his strict policies, in which whosoever he saw the threat to the Republic of France was arrested, a trial was conducted, and finally that person was guillotined. Guillotined means the heads were chopped by an instrument, guillotine, and he was so strict to his policies that he even did not spare his own political members. So due to these strict policies of Maximilien Robespierre, his own party members became his enemy, and finally he met with the same fate, same destiny, and he was also beheaded. So the end of the Jacobin Club was the beginning of the directory or rule of directory in France, in which now it was decided that power would not be given to only one individual, and the 5 directors were elected by the Legislative Assembly, and they will run the administration of France with the consent of one another.
and this directory run the system for the next 3-4 years until Napoleon, who was the army general of France, he took the charge in his hand in 1799, and then in 1804 he officially declared himself as the monarch of France. So the revolution of French France in 1789 was a kind of cycle system which was ended in 1804 when the Napoleon declared himself as the monarch. So here we complete the first portion of this chapter, French Revolution. Thank you and have a nice day.